Hello, my name is Matthew Jude and welcome to Cult of the News, the board game news show with a funny name. There's a lot of gaming news and this is my chance to talk to you about the news that interests me. Some makes me happy, some makes me want to scream into an endless void, but I do like to think that I keep up to date with all the... Gloomhaven's got an expansion. The first thing actually involves me, so depending on what this auto cue says, oh no, it's fine, sorry, I got nervous then on account of all my secrets. It's actually about how Rodney Smith from popular board game channel Watch It Played has taken on Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, Paula Deming from Things Get Dicey, and me from numerous failed screenplays as contributors to the channel. Like, for example, I'm doing this video right now. Anyway, games, new games, that's what you people want. All old games are trash, new, that's all that matters. I'm gonna go return these to the earth. So in this new segment, I'm calling What the Deck? I'm gonna highlight some new releases that got my wallet tingling, starting with Days of Wonder, who announced Ticket to Ride Amsterdam, which is another standalone game in their small box line like Ticket to Ride London and Ticket to Ride New York. It's set in the Dutch golden age of the 17th century, where instead of drafting cards to make a network of routes to fulfill tickets, you're doing something slightly different. This time it's all about commercial routes and merchandise, and there's a bunch of plastic carts in the game, and the guy from Hamburgum on the front of the box, but I swear I know him from somewhere else. Though the tagline is, learn the game in 3 minutes, play it for hours, which doesn't quite work because it's making it sound like the game takes for... Look, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to probably buy it anyway, now I think about it. Clank's got a new expansion, and what made me say, huh, is that Clank Adventuring Party is solely for the original Clank, and it's not in space, I mean, even a little bit. And while Adventuring Party does sound slightly dubious, or like someone who wants to go on a hike for fun, like a monster, it's actually an expansion that expands the game to 6 players, gives all of them the chance to become unique characters with new abilities and individual starting decks like a dwarf agent, an elf kleptomaniac, and even a monkey robot. Yep. Monkey robot. The world of board game IPs is a treacherous and bewildering landscape, but that doesn't stop the cold, hard, human emotion of hope. And trust me, I'm able to look past the intellectual property. You're looking at someone who owns Beowulf the movie, the board game. It's really a reskin of Knitz's classic Kingdoms, which isn't important. So, with the announcement of Risk 40k and Talisman Star Wars Edition, it's difficult to know how to feel other than my base emotions of both being scared and alone. For me, it's games like this that will hopefully bring fresh blood into the board game hobby, which, other than just a sinister turn of phrase, is just a really good thing for the hobby that we all love. So maybe inspire a few intrepid gamers to try something else later down the line. But what can they try? Well... The Golden Geek Awards were announced. Long story short, Wingspan won. For those who don't know, the Golden Geek are Board Game Geek's community-driven awards. Many of you probably voted in, and resulting in Watergate taking home Best 2-Player Game and The Crew winning Best Co-op. Side note, I love The Crew. It's one of the best games of all time. It's incredible and I love it. Wavelength won Best Party Game category. Doom was the most thematic, and then, as I said, Wingspan won pretty much everything else. And then the community at large were annoyed, right, at the community at large about an award where the community at large picks the winners. Also, Heavy Cardboard won Best Podcast, though I do think the podcast category should be split into 2 different awards. Hear me out. Informational-based podcasts, which would include every podcast that was nominated, and then comedy board game panel shows, like my podcast, This Game is Broken, the comedy board game panel show, which while was nominated, never stood a chance. Who am I kidding? Wingspan would win it So congratulations to Elizabeth Hargrave and Stonemaier Games for upping the game, changing the game, just for the game. Truly well deserved in my book. Kickstarter news now, or as I like to call it, money please. And it might be pertinent to mention that Frosthaven finally funded and thankfully just managed to break its $500,000 goal at the last minute by $11.5 million. 83,000 backers made Frosthaven the biggest board game Kickstarter ever. And that makes it one of the biggest Kickstarter projects in general. It's only really been beaten by that fidget spinner that keeps your beer cold. You know the one, it's got 45 pockets. It's a combat knife. It's also a drone that mines cryptocurrencies. You know, the one, it burns calories you haven't eaten yet while also being an artisanal brewery. And just think, there's going to be 83,000 homes, each one filled with people who have no idea when they're going to find the time to play Frosthaven. It's truly magical. Some other notable Kickstarters at the moment include Blinks, which is incredibly futuristic looking, and I fundamentally don't understand it. But it does look like you play it in 10 forward right after a game of Calto with a series of increasingly frustrated Vulcans, which is a deep Star Trek reference that even I'm quite ashamed of making. And there's still a couple of days left to back Canvas, which I thought looked really cool. Other than being a painting crafting game using cool layered transparent cards, the box itself has a notch on the back, which means you can hang the game up like a canvas. That's like if the game of Feast for Odin was actually edible, or if Carcassonne, the actual box, was a small town in France. The world of board game conventions has been weird and difficult because I don't know if you've noticed, but we aren't actually allowed to go near each other at the moment due to, and if you haven't heard this, you might want to sit down, there's a pandemic. It sucks. But while most of the convention news has been both understandably sad or sadly understandable, there are some glimmers of hope on the horizon, like a single ray of light breaking through the stormy sky or some type of distant forest fire. Origins Game Fair 2020 will be online everywhere from June 19th until June 21st, and Board Game Geek, while still being proudly gaming unplugged, will also be very much plugging in for BGG Conline, which will be on May 20th to 21st. Conline. It's annoyingly good. Both are featuring digital exhibition halls, events, interviews, and both are doing it within a time frame that I would imagine was rather stressful to organise. And finally, in a segment I like to call the Dungeon Master's Guide to the Galaxy, mainly because it's 3 AM here and things are going to get a little bit surreal in about 42 seconds. There's more news in the world of the Dungeons & Dragons movie. Firstly, yeah, there's going to be another Dungeons & Dragons movie. Buckle up. Hasbro! It's dramatic. Hasbro announced that they signed a first look deal with Marvel Studios producer Jeremy Latcham, who previously produced Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Avengers, Age of Ultron, and while that doesn't guarantee a good D&D movie, it's promising forward momentum on a project that's been somewhat touch and go over the last 5 years. But the main thing, just like any good D&D campaign, is a good story. Unlike my current campaign where we convinced a reanimated puppet that couldn't lie, that we also couldn't lie, and that going into a burning building to collect an enchanted monkey paw, for us, wouldn't hurt him. We could lie. Rest in peace, Pinocchio, yes. Your short life wasn't in vain. Though admittedly we did waste all those wishes on making a bunch of other puppets come to life to fight to death in a tournament. Thank you so much for watching this week's Cult of the News. If you have any news, we actually have a fully functioning place you can send it. It's news@WatchItPlayTV. I've been Matthew Jude, and thank you so much for watching, and we'll speak to you again next time. Take care. Goa, that's where I know that guy from. And charted the Golden Age. And Merchants of Amsterdam, actually. He's on that cover like 4 times. It's like Agent Smith